welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Um, this Climate Kitchen is a brainchild of the Bishops' Commission on Climate Change, which, as you may already know, is about 20 people strong. It's headed by the Reverend Canon Melissa McCarthy, Canon Bob Williams. Of course, Sam Wiley is also intimately involved. And she is here with us tonight helping with all the Zoom stuff. So a million thanks to Sam. And we are part of the people who are hosting this evening, myself, Reverend Peyton, Reverend Daniel, Mari Mendenhall. We are all in the education committee. And we're just so thrilled to have you all here. I just want to go through a little bit of what we're going to be covering tonight, what's cooking. And the very first thing that's cooking is a blessing. So let me stop sharing and turn it over to Mari, who is going to be doing tonight's blessing.
Thanks, Kate. So if we just take a moment to quiet ourselves and listen to these beautiful words from our Seasons of Creation liturgy, to call it the justice of God and the dignity of all creations. Holy God, your mercy is over all your works, and in the web of life, each creature has its role and place. We praise you for ocelot and owl, cactus and kelp, lichen and whale. We honor you for whirlwind and lava, tide and topsoil, cliff and marsh. Give us hearts and minds eager to care for your planet, humility to recognize all creatures as your beloved ones, justice to share the resources of the earth with all its inhabitants, and love not limited by our ignorance. This we pray in the name of Jesus, who unifies what is far off and what is near, and in whom, by grace and the working of your Holy Spirit, all things hold together. Amen.
Amen. That was beautiful, Mari. Thank you. Okay, so let me go back to my sharing of the screen again. Okay. Now I'm going to try to do this, trying to figure out how I can put this into presenter mode. I'm screen sharing. Okay, well, yeah, forgive me if I stumble
over. It looks
over.
good on my screen.
Okay, good. Okay, so just going over what is Climate Kitchen. For those of you who have not joined us before, Climate Kitchen is our Zoom for the diocese. It's a warm and welcoming space for conversation on all the things in the diocese that are happening around climate, the environment, sustainability. Anyone who's just trying to either get into the conversation for the first time, or you've been thinking about climate change, it's been on your mind, or you just want a warm, safe space to engage with other members of the diocese. There's also so much going on around the diocese, from people installing solar to native gardens to composting and so on and so forth, that we wanted to have a networking space so that we could share ideas. It's that place to swap our recipes, if you will, on how best to live into our call for creation. And it's hopefully where we'll find a little bit of food for the soul, because as we all know, the reality of climate change is pretty serious. It needs to be addressed. It's worrisome. Those are just a few words for it. But Climate Kitchen, coming into a kitchen, isn't a kitchen the the warmest, most visited place in the house? Isn't it always where everybody gathers at a party? Isn't it just where everybody, wants to talk and just, get a little food for the soul? That's why we named it Climate Kitchen, and we just want to have some fun with it. It's not in any way to take it less seriously, because we know our subject is serious, but it's just to really just inject that faith and that positivity into this situation. So tonight, what are we serving up? We're serving up, of course, a delicious main course, some inventive side stories and side dishes, and of course our signature recipe swap, which is why everybody's here, to hopefully get other ideas from around the diocese. And then in Kitchen Timer, as we begin to wrap up the evening, in Kitchen Timer, I'll provide hopefully one additional thing to leave you with to think about. Okay, so our main course tonight is, of course, Season of Creation. And the Season of Creation extends from September 1st, which is just a week away, next Monday night, September 1st, and it extends from September 1st to October 4th. And we're going to go a little bit in depth on it, what it is, and a little bit of the history behind it. And to do that, let me turn it over to Reverend Peyton Hoig, who is newly ordained in the diocese. And we're so thrilled that he is going to be kicking us off tonight to talk a little bit about what Season of Creation is. So if you're new, you might learn about it, and that's what we hope. And there'll be lots of time for questions. And if you are looking to deepen your Season of Creation experience, hopefully you'll take away some ideas. So Peyton, take it away.
Thank you, Kate. I appreciate that introduction. I've been tasked, as Kate mentioned, with kind of the hard main course here of introducing folks to the Season of Creation if you're not familiar with it. Luckily, it's not that hard a task. It's a pretty straightforward offering that we have to share. The Season of Creation really is an emerging liturgical expression for our Episcopal Church, but it has actually been a long-standing tradition in the practice of our Orthodox siblings, and it has been increasingly observed ecumenically for more than 35 years. And with leadership from the World Council of Churches, this season has been marked out as a time of action and prayer for Earth. And this is a liturgical expression that has been adopted by many of our Christian companions in different denominations. The Episcopal Church itself has been encouraging congregations and communities to participate in this liturgical expression for many years now. And we can look at this from our Anglican tradition as an enrichment of our traditional liturgical calendar, not just an expansion or an extension, but something that adds spice, if I can use some of our kitchen language, to our traditional liturgical calendar. This is a season that reflects the richness and focused attention that we explore in Epiphany or in Advent, Lent, or Easter. And what it offers is this set period in our calendar, stretching, as Kate said, from September through to early October and culminating with the feast day of St. Francis. And it's a time where we intentionally focus on God's creation, on the call and even the command established in Scripture for us to tend to and care for the created world. Now, we see this season and the liturgical focus that it offers as particularly important today because of the many ways our imbalanced relationship with creation has led to hardship, to loss, to injustice, and all of that touches every issue of care and concern for the church. And that might be most clear in environmental issues, but we know that this is a complex time. And so our faithful care for the health of our planet actually also touches concerns around immigration, economic sustainability, racial justice, global conflict mitigation, and so many issues that break our hearts and call us to spirit-grounded responses. And so through the season of creation, we're given an opportunity to examine all of this in our shared practice as a church. And there are some really wonderful and rich resources available to help us to express our curiosity, our contrition, our concern, and our care for creation in prayer, worship, faith formation, and spiritual reflection. So we want to highlight in this time the new perennial edition of the Season of Creation resource. And this is a resource and a guide that has been compiled by the Reverend John Elliott Line and Reverend Margaret Bullitt Jonas, two of the Episcopal Church's really esteemed figures in creation care. And this resource offers us a detailed companion that's very similar in format to our Book of Common Prayer. And it includes the lectionary for this season, now covering years A, B, and C. So it's a single edition that can be used by vestries and clergy members and church communities to really explore how we can engage the season of creation. It has overviews on creation care theology, tips on preaching with creation. It has collects, lessons, prayers, propers, sermon starters, spiritual writings. It's this beautiful one-stop shop for exploring what this might look like in your own context, and which can guide congregations and communities in celebrating this season. So to give you just a little taste of how this guide could enrich our worship in the Diocese of Los Angeles in the weeks ahead, the resource offers selections from the 1982 hymnal that reflects this focus on creation. And some of those hymns include All Things Bright and Beautiful, For the Fruit of All Creation, and When Morning Gilds the Skies. Easily accessible in all of our hymnals in all of our Episcopal churches. It outlines how we can proclaim the peace during this season to include language that says, the God of heaven has made a home on earth. All Christ dwells among us and is one with us. The peace of Christ be always with you. So there are these simple liturgical inclusions and adjustments that we can make to our liturgical expressions during this season, just to honor this focus on creation. And in addition to that, this Season of Creation resource offers direction on themes and inspiration for preaching from theologians and thinkers. And that includes folks from Catherine of Siena or Hildegard of Bingen, all the way to Howard Thurman and Desmond Tutu. And one of my favorite inclusions in those offerings comes from Simone Weil. And this is included in the resource that Simone wrote that the beauty of the world is Christ's tender smile for us. And for me, that is exactly what the season of creation is marking. It's celebrating, and what it is providing us a space to affirm and appreciate that the beauty of creation, everything in this incredible world, is Christ's tender smile for us. And we've got links to the resource that we're going to share in the chat, and that'll take you directly to that virtual guide. And we also have a link to a webinar that Reverend Line offered, and that will give you some more information on background for the season of creation and give you some more information and insight on how you can incorporate that into your own worship on Sundays during the season and throughout the weeks ahead. Given the ecological crises that we're facing, the wildfires, disasters, and really just the devastating conditions that have touched and impacted so many of our communities in the past year, the Bishops' Commission, and including Bishop John's blessing and support for all of this, we're really encouraging the whole Diocese of Los Angeles to engage with this season as a way of really collectively reaffirming our commitment to caring for creation and really living into our commitment in this way. So we're glad that we can connect with you all through this Climate Kitchen. And I'm going to invite the Reverend Daniel Tam to come in and offer some additional insights that might be helpful.
Thank you, Peyton. Thank you. That was really very good, very comprehensive. So you see, you have the resource guide in the chat, and when you take a look at it later, you'll see that when you really look through the liturgy, you'll see that there's just slight adjustments in all of the liturgy that oriented towards a creation care sensibility, so that parishioners, congregants, Episcopalians, and this is very much an ecumenical Christian experience. Absolutely no reason why it cannot be an interfaith experience. It just takes a little more, adjustments and a little more thinking through for everybody to share something like that. But in the meantime, for Episcopalians, you'll notice there that there's sermon prompts for for clergy who might get nervous about, well, how do I don't have that much experience with the climate crisis and ecology, and how do I? Well, there's several sermon prompts with each gospel and from each reading that comes from the Bible, and we stay with year C. There's no variation from that. We're still in the Gospel of Luke. There's just a slight reorientation. And then for the second readings, which is typically an epistle, there might be another reading from another sort of environmentalist or someone else that speaks of the glory of creation that is not Paul. But there's also Paul, who speaks eloquently about this. So it's nothing to be really nervous about. It's a very simple adjustment that's made. And, the 80th, we were encouraged by the 80th General Convention of the Episcopal Church, that was in 2022, that recognized climate change as an all-encompassing social crisis and moral emergency that impacts and interconnects every aspect of pastoral concern, including health, poverty, employment, racism, social justice, family life, and that can only be addressed by a great work involving every sector of society, including the church. So you'll notice that all those areas that I mentioned, racism, employment, poverty, health, these are all central concerns of our faith every single day. And they are all encompassed in the climate crisis. Our gospel call to grow in faith as we affirm that God in Christ loves, redeems, and sustains the whole of creation, not only human beings, is reality. And because of the urgency of climate and ecological crisis and the need for a bold prophetic response, this is why this work is so very important. And how wonderful that we have a whole month that's devoted to it, where we can really abide in the season of creation and with wonder and awe at what our Creator has brought us, and worship accordingly. So from there, I'll go back to you, Kate.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much, Peyton and Daniel. I just wanted to, at this point, invite any questions on the season of creation, the perennial resource, and the link that I tried to put in the chat is, I'll redo it. The authors of the perennial resource gave a video on July 31st that you can click on and use that passcode. So I'll try to clarify that in the chat in just a minute. But in the meantime, are there any questions about what we've been covering so far? Yes, Sarah.
Is there any way that we can get the book instead of having to have the PDF, or is the book available?
Reverend Line has mentioned this in his conversations. They do not have a published version of this as a book yet, but they are in conversation about what that might look like in the future.
Okay, thank you.
It is a printable PDF, although I'm not sure I would recommend it.
Okay, no worries.
Dick,
Does clergy throughout the diocese know this, or is this the only forum for this, for dissemination of this resource and this particular focus for the coming month?
There have been multiple announcements that have come out from various outlets of the diocese, whether it's the resource, the bishop's resource, Episcopal News. There's one that came out today, which was announcing this event, followed by a separate announcement about Season of Creation. So there have been multiple announcements about this, and the Bishop's Commission has been attempting to get the word out, and we're hoping to receive a pastoral letter from Bishop John himself about this.
and Peyton, did you do an article?
Yeah. So the Angelus, Dick, is a resource that goes out to all the clergy in the diocese. And this month's column was on the Season of Creation. So all of our clergy who engage with the Angelus will have seen not only the announcement that we're working to engage this season, but also would receive links to all of the resources that we're discussing today.
Peyton, if you have that link handy, please put it in the chat. This is really a wonderful view, and you get a really good feeling about what Season of Creation is. And Peyton's done a wonderful job of articulating this. And if everybody on this call would want to share that link and the other links with their clergy, you know, and exhort them to, you know, look at it, discern, pray, and decide.
All right, great questions. Anyone else before we head into our side dishes? Okay, well, there'll be additional opportunities to chime in or put questions in the chat, and we'll get back to them. Right now, I'd like actually to invite Daniel to be our first side dish, because we wanted to give a couple of specific examples of what different parishes in the diocese are doing for Season of Creation as food for thought. So Daniel, if you're ready with that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, at my parish, Holy Nativity, we've been looking at this, and I actually did print out the whole PDF. It's about 200 pages, 100 if you go either side, or actually less. No, it captures 2 on each side of a page. So I can't do the math, but you can figure it out. But the point is, we've been looking at it. We've been, I'll be preaching on the 21st, so I already know what I'm doing. So I'm working with that text, and I'm making a decision about the choice of a reading. I know my colleagues, I have a couple of colleagues who preach as well there at Holy Nativity, and they're working with it and wrestling with it themselves. So that's what we're doing, and so that we really want to lift up Season of Creation. We also have, it's also a time in our particular parish, we have a wondrous community garden that we want to sort of revive more interest in that in both the parish and the surrounding neighborhood. So that's going to be something we're looking at as well in at Holy Nativity.
Great, Daniel. Great. Thank you so much. And now I'd like to invite Becky and Linda from Trinity Redlands. If you're here tonight, I think I've seen Linda. Trinity Redlands, I learned just recently, is going to be doing or is already involved in so many expressions of faith and love in action around climate. And I would love it if Linda and Becky would just share a little bit about what they're doing and that they're doing at Trinity Redlands all the time. But in particular, they'll take on a special meaning during the season of creation. So Linda, welcome.
Thank you. Actually, Becky is our formal representative, so I would like to give the floor to her. I am the residential nudge for this new climate creation care group, which started, oh, there's Becky.
Hi.
Which started in July. So I'll just give a little background to that and then give it to Becky. We began with a wonderful forum given to us by one of our parishioners, Hillary Jenkins, who is on the University of Redlands staff as an environmental professor. And she gave a forum on why deny, what is behind the denial in people's minds. And this forum was surprisingly well attended. And the people sat, and immediately the energy in the room was palpable. And she had to go off on her vacation, but we followed that up with 2 more gatherings using film from Nova. And the group stayed cohesive. And so I, as their facilitator, said, do we want to go forth? And they did. And we then ended up shaping a purpose statement and objectives, which was given formally to the vestry, and started an action plan. And Rebecca, I'll give it to you.
I feel like I'm a newbie. Linda was really heading up that forum that we had with support from our professor from the University of Redlands, but we've really been trying to see what we can do, actionable steps that we can take to take care of our environment as a parish. So we've gotten involved, the Boy Scouts that meet at our parish are working on having a group come and or they're working on badges related to climate. And so Linda, what else would you say?
One of the things I got from the Episcopal news was word for action, take action, get involved with your government officials, get published, get involved with community organizations that are steeped in climate care. And so as it turned out, we have 3 organizations within our city, and I happen to be the representative to one, the Interfaith Climate Coalition, which is attended by a lot of pastors. And we have the ANCA group, which is Accelerated Neighborhood Climate Action Group. And they go to neighborhoods to map for disasters. And then in our group, we had a woman who was very active in the climate lobby. And so we already had shaped fingers for which Trinity could be very much involved. And we put that on our board we will keep these relationships going. And then we are going to sponsor a big event the 21st of September and the 5th of October. And our group will be seated at tables to help our parishioners understand where do they fit in and what would they like to do, what we would like them to do. And with that, we're having a poster contest. Now, just happens Trinity always has blessing of the animals to honor St. Francis, and we'll do that in the afternoon too. But in the morning, we are going to have our one and only creation liturgy. We won't do it through the whole month. Father Dunn did agree to do it that one Sunday. And then we will have this open house with all of our members from our group. We're 22 strong. I am so proud of this group. My goodness, they've hung in there this hot summer. So that's what Trinity is about.
Is that all? I mean, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, well, that's where we are now, you know.
I like to joke around, so I hope you took that
Yeah.
as the joke I meant it to be. I mean, the list of things that you all are doing is just so inspiring. Can you just, before we go into our breakout sessions, which we'll do in just a second, can you just spend one little minute on how you started your green team, or the very first action you took to kind of, you know, get going with your congregation?
Becky?
Linda, that was all you. I
wait.
was just attending.
Actually, yeah, you know, I've been at Trinity for umpty years, and like I said, I am Trinity's nudge. And I got very involved in Anka, and they came to our church and presented. And from that meeting, 4 families did host a neighborhood event. And that was so successful that I turned to Father Dunn and said, I think we have something here. Do I have permission? Do we have permission to do something for the summer? But the real magic was Hillary Jenkins, because she's the authority and she's ours. And she's a master teacher. And so when she had that forum, that really helped gel the passion of the group.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining tonight and for sharing with us. This is a great springboard into our breakouts. So I'm going to turn it over to Sam, who will instruct us how to get over to our breakouts and back. Sam,
All right. Thank you so much, Kate. So yeah, we're at the recipe swap part of our evening together. Part of the climate kitchen is the gathering aspect of things. So here's what we're going to do is I am going to set up breakout rooms, and everyone will be automatically assigned. It'll be about 5 to 6 people each. We're going to have a brief session, about 12 minutes or so. I'd love to hear, when we come back together, hear about what's going on in your own congregations and your own contexts. So take that opportunity in the breakout session to introduce yourselves to each other and learn about what's going on in your neck of the woods. So when we do come back together, I'm going to call on each group to give us a little rundown of your discussion. So please do select someone to report when we come back. And if you don't select someone to be your spokesperson, I will do it for you based on alphabetical order. So first person in the alphabet will be our lucky winner. So I'm going to go ahead and do our breakout rooms. You should receive a pop-up on your window right now. Go ahead and join your breakout room, and we will have our session for about 12 minutes or so. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Okay, welcome back, everybody. I am really excited to hear about everybody's discussions. So as a reminder, I'm going to go through room by room, and I would love to hear from a representative from each group to tell us a little bit about your discussion and things that are going on in your neighborhood. So we're going to go ahead and start with breakout room 1. That was Brenda, Joe, Judith, Karen and David, Michael and Sarah. Would one of you like to unmute and tell us about your conversation?
Karen and David, why don't you go ahead?
We didn't anoint a speaker, but we
Okay.
just put into the chat the thing that we talked about that we've been doing at church. One of the things is that Santa Barbara County has a program for green businesses, and All Saints by the Sea in Santa Barbara became the first church in Santa Barbara County to be labeled a green business. So it was a series of things that we had to do to get that designation, and then we have to keep it up year after year. And it makes a good something to talk around that, appeals to more than just greenies like we are, because, businesses get it, and it's specific things you can do. So it's been a good way to engage, and we've wanted to spread it to the other churches near us. We haven't actually done that yet, but also I don't know if LA County has that group. But
it's a state-run program. It's a state-sponsored program that the counties run. So I would imagine LA County also does it, but maybe there's a lot more going on in LA County, and the staff members have bigger things to do than in Santa Barbara County. They really kept on us once we expressed some interest. But also some of the other churches mentioned up in Santa Maria, Sarah McDonald was telling us that they're also doing some work up there, and they're very affected, obviously, by the climate change with the big Gifford fire that was up there. Gifford.
And then others talked about, the Pacific Palisades and burnings in there that have, because of climate change and how it's affected the parish. And 2 of the rectors' homes were burned. And let's see what else was talked about. You guys pop in.
That sounds amazing. That's a lot. And I appreciate that you put the link in the chat. So everyone take a look. The link to the Santa Barbara County program is there. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Any other comments or?
Yeah, and
right.
we also, several of our congregations talked about how, we're just kind of starting out, and just even the small things really make a difference, such as one that was kind of repeated in several places, just as little as shifting from paper or styrofoam cups at coffee hour to real mugs. And, and it's a tangible way that people can feel they can make a difference by a small action, as opposed to being overwhelmed by this sense of, how can I reduce the carbon emissions in the atmosphere globally? And so it's just a way of raising awareness on those small levels.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. So we're going to go to room 2 now. That was Anne, Dick, Elizabeth, Mostyn, and Scott. Would one of you like to unmute and share about your conversation?
Anne's ready.
And you're first in the alphabet. I might be putting you on the spot here.
Unfortunately, my sound did not work when I was in the breakout room. I could not hear people. It was like super quiet. And I thought it was something wrong with my phone, but it's fine now.
I think I was nominated to report for that group, but I don't really know, because I had a bunch of trouble. But Anne, I think you were in my group.
Yes, I was. Yeah.
I can do it for room 2.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Donna was kind of inspirational on her connection with the California Interfaith and Canopy initiative, where trees are provided. And I'm at Beverly Hills All Saints, and we've struggled to find any traction around canopy. Not that Beverly Hills has an issue, but how to involve ourselves with canopy programs. So that was an interesting part. I mentioned Beverly Hills All Saints, where we're working on solar, trying to get as we speak right now, Vestry is considering whether Beverly Hills All Saints will move forward with a solar installation. Having completed a survey of the parish, we had some people that are just kind of seeing what's going on, and other people that have from other parishes that have moved into reusables.
Usually given that.
And I think I'm giving short shrift to somebody, but.
Oh no, go ahead.
And then I think St. Gregory's Long Beach has done reusables and is having a liturgy on Sunday. So, and looking at landscaping and maybe thinking about a creation care ministry.
Wow. That was a big conversation.
That's it for room 2, unless there's any amendments.
That sounds incredible. Thank you so much. All right, room 3, we have Angela, Catherine, Kate, Roxanne, and Daniel. No takers? Angela, you're first in the alphabet. I might be putting you on the spot here. No, if not, all right, Kate, I'm going to turn it to you then.
Yeah, that's good. Well, we had a fantastic room, and there's so much going on in each of the parishes. Roxanne mentioned a food initiative that a vegan food initiative that her parish is involved in, and which is also Daniel's parish. So they agreed to try to get something going. And also, I think, Peyton, you might have had something from Seeds of Hope on a food effort, which if I could circle back to you in 1 second, because that might address Roxanne's question better than I can. And then we also had wonderful Tustin, and they're doing a lot around composting and planning a possible forum around Earth Day next year, along with several other initiatives. And then also getting the green team started at Angela's parish. So just a ton of initiatives. I don't think I did it justice at all, but just incredibly inspiring. So that was our group.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kate. All right, room 4, we have Chrissy, Linda, Becky, Peyton, and Tuchis. Which one of you would like to unmute and share? All right, I'm gonna call on Peyton for this one.
Oh no,
I'll
I
spare you,
already
Chrissy.
had so much talking time. We had a really beautiful conversation that was pretty far-reaching. We talked about native plant gardens, and what was really inspiring to hear was exploration of how we can bring multilingual communities together around the issues that matter to us. And so we had a good conversation about how the garden can be common ground, about how we can tap into the ways that these issues are unique and express themselves differently across cultures, but ultimately are ways that we can be drawn together through common passion and common care for our creation. It was a lovely conversation.
Wonderful, thank you. And that leaves, last but not least, our room 5. Keith or Mari, would either of you like to share about your conversation? All right, Mari, I think I'm going to call on you for this. Oh, no,
Yes.
Keith, yes, please.
No, I was going to invite Mari. So
Okay,
I
sounds
had,
good.
yes. Yeah, here I am. Hi. We had Keith, Gloria, and myself. So we had Upland, which is far east, and Gloria, which is way south. And oh yes, and Athena from New Mexico was on our call. So we had a wide range of things happening and starting to happen. Keith is trying to reach out to his parish, and we talked about how to get audits and how to get solar power and just the initiative moving in that direction, which was good. Athena actually is an environmental engineer and does auditing in New Mexico. We're going to bring her out here. But she is very involved in that. And Gloria she writes our green tips for the Bishops' Commission on Climate Change. So that was available, and that was a very, very good thing that we were doing. And we were just basically talking about how we can connect and what avenues, because we're seen to be disconnected as far as really active within the congregations. So different ways to connect to other organizations and other ways to move forward to connect. And I think that this is a great avenue because we can reach out to other people on this call that are doing things. And how did you do that? And how can we do that? So I think that that it's really great to interchange with these ideas.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That very successful breakout sessions all around. Thank you all for sharing your conversations. This has been amazing. So Kate, back to you.
All right. Well, I thought this Zoom was going to be over at 6 sharp. Actually, I'm on Central Time, so 8 sharp or whatever time it is. 6 sharp? Yeah, 6 sharp. I don't know where I am. And so my apologies. If anyone has to sign off, please do. But we're just going to spend probably about 5 or 10 more minutes because we have 2 more things to let you all know about. I'd like to invite Daniel to talk a little bit about, he chairs the advocacy committee on the Bishops' Commission. And there is quite a bit of there's quite a bit going on on that front. And I think, Daniel, you've got a message for this evening.
Yeah, thank you, Kate. I just put it into the chat, by the way. I had brought up California Interfaith Power and Light previously, and I just put their priorities that we're going to be meeting tomorrow with legislators, staff around the state, and presenting that these are our priorities and what are you going to do about it? So this is, advocacy is a great way. It's an experiential way to express your faith, in action, and to hopefully, with God's help, see change come about. And it's an important thing, a part of what we do is advocacy. Right now, there's a bill called Polluters Pay Climate Superfund Act, which is going through, it's become a 2-year bill, so we have more time to work on it, to advocate. Right now, if you want to engage your county, wherever that is, to reach out to them, meet with them, ask them to write a resolution in support of this bill. We've been doing that in LA County. We have 3 of the 5 supervisors on the Board of Supervisors. We've met with 1 and we've got 2 other meetings scheduled. And we are pressing this case and urging them to take the lead, to be leaders on climate in the counties. And the county governments have enormous impact in the state. So whether you're San Diego County, whether you're San Bernardino, whether you're Riverside County, whether you're further up north, all of these counties have impact. So I'm going to put my email in the chat if you want to learn more about advocacy. And it's something we really believe in and engage with at the Bishops' Commission on Climate Change.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. I think we also would like to mention the Bishops' Commission on September 9th is going to be leading a Compline, a season of creation Compline. So using some of the perennial resource that we've been talking about tonight and weaving a little bit of that in, we would like to come together on September 9th to welcome the Climate Commission's liaison group, and then also celebrate a season of creation Compline together. So there's more about that in the Episcopal News. Mostyn, who's on this call tonight, Mostyn, thank you for all of your incredible editing of the Episcopal News update every week. It's just incredible. And please check out the Episcopal News update that he so amazingly writes and edits. It's truly amazing. But there is a blurb in there about the September 9th Compline, season of creation Compline, and that's where you may have seen Climate Kitchen also promoted. So a million thanks to Mostyn, and a million thanks for the Episcopal News update. And so I'd like to leave you with our segment Kitchen Timer. I'm just going to share my screen one more time, and we're going to go to Kitchen Timer here. So in just a very quick little kitchen timer segment, it's usually 1 minute. It's probably going to be a little bit longer, but as we wrap up here and before our time runs out on our Climate Kitchen session, I'd like to invite you to learn about Sunday. Sunday is an effort that is being put together by the organization Third Act. And Third Act was started by Bill McKibben, who is a renowned climate activist who also started 350.org years ago. And Third Act is for people over in their 60s or over who were all, let's say, I think a big group of them were all activists and so on in the 60s, in the 70s. They know how to be activists, and they as they've gone on in their decades, they have now entered their third act, if you will, and they are a wonderful organization that is advocating for climate solutions, clean energy, and so on and so forth. They have put together this amazing day, which is going to be September 21st, right in the middle of the season of creation, called Sunday, which of course is also an actual Sunday. So we can incorporate it. If you need any more brainstorming ideas for season of creation, you might want to tap into this effort, which is already underway, and which is already appealing to interfaith communities, such as faith communities such as ours. So on September 21st, 2025, there's going to be a day of action. It's actually going to be a day of celebration to celebrate the power of clean energy. Clean energy, renewable energy, solar in particular, is the cheapest energy in the history of the world. 90% of all new electricity around the world that was put online last year, 90% was renewable. The world is turning toward renewables. In May, for example, China was installing solar panels at the rate of 100 solar panels a second. this should be us. This should be, we invented, in New Jersey in 1954, we invented the solar panel. So this should be us. So anyway, so they've decided to have a day of celebration of all things clean energy. And so that can be a smorgasbord of anything, almost anything. You can pick anything. You can do an e-bike parade. You can do an e-parade. You can do a heat pump tour. If you've got a solar installation at your parish, you could do an open house. You could hold a potluck to talk about climate. You could rally around something. You could advocate for polluters pay. You could write postcards. You could do a gathering. It literally can be a smorgasbord of actions. And you can go to the website, which I will put in the chat, which is sunday.earth. And you can create your own sun and you can see that their logo is this half, the black half is kind of a graphical representation of the sun. And then the people who are powering this effort, you can draw the other half. And they have thousands and thousands of people who've already logged onto the site and drawn their sun. And people just have different expressions of what Sunday is to them. And you can also find either an action that's already taking place that you could take part in, or you can sign up your own action if you would prefer to do that. Or you can just get inspiration for something at your own congregation or your own parish. So this is Sunday. I wanted to mention it and bring it to everybody's attention. And then with that, I'd like to thank you for joining tonight. If anyone wants to stay on, we'll stay on for a few extra minutes if anyone has any more questions. Just wanted to thank you all so much for joining, and thank you for supporting Climate Kitchen. We might want to do an advocacy Climate Kitchen in the future, especially as Polluters Pay gets closer. I can see that might be a great topic. And if you have other topics that you'd be interested in, we'd love to do that, whatever it is. So let me know. I'll put my email in the chat.
Kate, Karen and David have requested that part of our closing be a moment of silence for the Reverend Woodward.
Oh, good. Oh, sure. Absolutely.
So whenever we get to that moment.
Oh, okay. If you would like to lead that would be wonderful. Whatever you'd like to say.
I just want to remember George, wonderful, wonderful man. I traveled to the Holy Land with him in 2005, and he just gave so much to our group. And he's been working in, Mexico. So, Allende, what is it called?
San Miguel.
San Miguel de Allende. And what a tragic way to lose his life.
Mm-hmm.
And I pray for his sister and for all of us who have been touched by him.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. I did have a little closing prayer that I just wanted to read. It's from St. Augustine. It's also from the perennial resource that we were tapping into tonight.
St. Augustine.
Some people, in order to discover God, read books. But there is a great book, the very appearance of created things. Look above you, look below you, read it. God, whom you want to discover, never wrote that book with ink. Instead, he set before your eyes the things that he had made. Can you ask for a louder voice than that?
Nice.
So that's from the perennial resource, and along with a lot of other amazing quotes from all sorts of inspiring leaders, theologians, thoughtful people throughout the ages. That one happened to speak to me as I was looking this afternoon, but there are just so many other ones, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I think if we tap into it, we can really all have just such a beautiful season of creation. And if there's anything else, we'll stay on a couple minutes, but otherwise, everybody have a very blessed evening. Thank you so much for joining.